Exercises in melody, exercises in rhythm, specific short exercises in harmony. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to practice. On the other hand, it's a minimum of theory for a maximum of change in your playing, rather than a lot of theory and that as you try to absorb all the theory, in fact, nothing in your playing changes. Does anybody out there know that? We all know that. The more pages you have to absorb, the less change is possible. Think of concentration like a certain amount of water. We have an X amount of water, and it's in a container this wide. The water is going to be very shallow. If the container is only this wide, the water is going to be very deep. Therefore, the less things you practice, the deeper you can get into them and fully master them and fully understand them. Very important point. Most of us are practicing too many things to make any change. And we skim. We skim from one thing to another. Also, the mind is so unruly that while you're working on one thing, you're already thinking about something else you have to practice or something else you have to do later. And that puts the pressure on the practicing and takes away the concentration, and it makes you work in a very inaccurate way. And as a result, nothing changes. If I take a line, I'm not thinking about all the other lines. I'm working on that line. Nothing else in the universe exists until that line plays itself. That is a good standard, because by the time the chords play themselves, or the rhythms play themselves, or the lines play themselves, that means not only that you play that line well, but you've developed new muscle memory. Because you see, when you have muscle memory, you don't have to try. And that's what you're seeing out of your favorite players and all the greatest players. Doesn't mean they have to sit still. They could be sweating or moving around or whatever they do. But what they do, if it's a drummer, you know, Billy Hart, Jack DeJohnette, whoever you want to talk about, they sound good all the time, even when they think they sound bad. Because the muscle memory is there to assert a certain level of sophistication, rhythm, touch, tone. The muscle memory is there, so even when they don't feel like they're on, the muscle memory keeps them at a certain level. They don't lose everything, because most of it is committed to muscle memory. So when you take any of these exercises and really get into them, master that one example, you develop new muscle memory, and that you will feel as changes in your playing, changes in the patterns of the way you think in real time. You have to learn something deeply in order to change those patterns. So how do you practice that way and not feel overwhelmed? The biggest problem for people practicing, as I said earlier, is the sense that they feel overwhelmed when they practice. They don't know where to start, how long to practice, what will do the most good. The answer is anything you choose is the right thing if you practice it the right way. The other question comes up is, how long should I practice? Is it 2 hours, 4 hours? I would say as long as your concentration is pinpoint. And when the concentration fades, get up and walk away. That way you train yourself. When I'm sitting at the instrument practicing, I'm only in concentration. I'm perfectly focused on the exercise I'm working on. If you can practice that way, if you can get your mind that straight, you can really accomplish a lot. The thing is, people practice so inefficiently that most people practice and their playing doesn't change. And here's the sad thing. They don't even think there's anything strange about that. Practicing is more like being a good boy than I'm practicing to change my playing. The playing doesn't change because nothing you're working on, you don't stay with anything you're working on long enough for the change. So how do you practice like this?